Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Journey to Happiness. And I am excited, as always, to be coming to you with this conversation today. And I think it's going to be a really powerful one. And I think it's going to be one that people need to hear. So, first, like, order of business here is don't mind my hair is like all pulled back. It's all bumpy, whatever. I went to the gym earlier, haven't had my shower yet. And I just decided to get on here and record this podcast to talk to all of you. So that's the first order of business to get out of the way. So I think it's going to be a really powerful episode because I want to talk about dating and some do's and don'ts and kind of what you need to do when you're starting to date somebody. Because I have a lot of experience with relationships, as you all know, if you've been listening. And the things that I'm going to talk about are things that I wish somebody would have told me for the last 20 years because I was clueless. And I I see so many people struggling with relationships. It seems to be like that's all people want. And I think that's fine. I'm not like knocking on that. But I think that there are things that we need to look at going into the dating scene and going into relationships and going into all of those situations because let's be real. Dating is not like it used to be back in the day. We're not having somebody call us on the phone and ask us on a date and picking us up in a car and taking us to dinner. And it's all done virtually nowadays. You're meeting people on online dating apps. You are texting that you're going on a date because somebody is texting you, asking you on a date. There's no connection in person anymore. So many things are done on social media. And I'm not saying that this is all bad. Personally, I'm not a fan of it because I am like more old school, but this is the world that we're living in. And I see so many people struggle. And I think that there's some important factors that we all need to consider. So the thing is, first of all, I've talked a lot about self-love and I've talked a lot about how you have to love yourself before you're ever going to have a relationship where anybody's going to put you first or actually love you the way that you deserve to be loved. And I still believe all of that. So if you are one of those people, just listen to some of my other episodes about self-love. There's multiple ones on here because that is the truth, bottom line. But this is not the episode for that. This is the episode to talk about not so much. I don't know if I want to say so much red flags. There will probably be some of that thrown in here, but it's mostly like, what do you talk about on these first dates? So when you're dating somebody and you're going for a couple months, whatever, what are you supposed to talk about on these dates? And that's where this is gonna go. Okay, what questions do you ask? How do you get to know somebody? Because again, I think we have this thing going on in society right now where we don't know how to connect with other humans in person. It's all done virtually. So you get out on the date, well, then you have to know, like, what do I do next? So I want to talk about some of that. So these are some things that you need to think about when you're dating somebody. So first off, social media. Okay. Let's just be real. I probably will make another episode dedicated solely to social media. I have a love-hate relationship with social media. I think it's great for people who are trying to build a business, for influencers, for staying connected with friends and family. What I don't like it for is posting all of your fucking business on there, with the exception if you are a business owner or an influencer. I still am not saying that all your business has to go on there, but for those people, it is kind of par with the territory. You do kind of have to put yourself out there and show a little bit of your life so that people can trust you and get to know you. But having said that, do you need to be putting your relationship all over social media or your dates? No, you don't. So the first thing you need to think about going into the dating world nowadays is you don't need to put everything on social media. When you're you've been dating somebody for a couple months and now you decide to go public on Facebook and you put that you're in a relationship and 5 months later that relationship ends. Now you're going back to single on social media. It looks not only does it look bad, but it is kind of tacky. I'm sorry. It's tacky. We don't need to do that. The only reason that we're doing that is because we want validation. We want validation from other people, and we want people to see, oh, she's happy. She's in this relationship. She's doing this, she's just living her best life, whatever it is. There's no other reason for that. Well, okay. There is another reason for this. One is the validation. Number two is because you don't trust your man or your woman, the person you're with. And I get this because social media is just a fucking playground for people to do whatever they want. It's too easy to find other people on social media. It's too easy to find, to look and be like, oh, the grass is so much greener over there, even though it's really not. So, the other reason that you're wanting your relationship status on social media is because you think that if, and I'm just using this can be opposite on the sexes thing. I'm just using it because I'm a woman, so I'm thinking about men here. But the other thing, like, because if I have my man say that he's in a relationship with me, then that means all the other women are going to know that. So, maybe like that's going to prevent him from like finding, like trying to go with somebody else. Okay. So, come on, guys. If you have to think that way, if you have to think, oh, okay. So, first of all, there's not a lot of girls out there anymore. Let's be real. A lot of times they don't care if somebody's in a relationship, and the same goes for guys. And the second part of this is if you have to put this on social media so that your guy doesn't so-called cheat or try to talk to other people, then is he really the right guy for you? Honestly, if you have to think that way, he's either not the right guy for you or you have a lot of fucking healing to do that you have not done yet. And so you need to do that before you even think about getting in a relationship. And how can I speak about all of this stuff? Because I was one of these people. So there is no judgment here. I was that girl. I was that girl who wanted her status to be like in a relationship. I wanted the person I was with to be showing me on social media because I thought that then, because there was never trust there. Like because I was dating guys who couldn't be trusted. So there was never trust there. So I thought in my fucked up mind that if I was on their social media, then other girls wouldn't want to date them because they would see that he had a girlfriend and they would respect that and they would leave him alone. I mean, come on, it's like really a messed up concept, right? But whatever. That's where I was. And I also think deep down I needed validation. I wanted people to see that like I was happy and I was worthy because somebody wanted me. So I was worthy of love and I was worthy of this relationship. And all of my friends on Facebook can now see that. Okay. Like so wrong. So wrong. So if you're still in that state, I feel for you because I've been there. A lot of people are in that state and they just don't realize they're in that state. And I never did. I didn't realize it. It takes a lot to really go within and realize where things are falling short within yourself. So that is all for my rant on social media. Okay. Now let's talk about dating. Let's talk about, okay, you meet this guy, and whether you meet him on online, I'm not saying anything wrong with dating apps because I know a lot of people have met people on dating apps and they have lived happily ever after. So that's fine. If that's your thing, go for it. I've done it myself. Not a big fan anymore, but I mean, sometimes like if you're like me and you've become this super introverted person and like you never leave your house, that might be the only way you have to talk to people. So, teach their own. I'm not going to judge. It's fine. But however you meet people, so say you decide to go on a date, a lot of these dates, they tend to be very surface level. And I'm not saying you have to know their whole life story at the beginning of the date or within one or two dates, but I think that there are things that you need to ask your potential partner. Because let's face it, most of us aren't dating for fun. We can say we're dating for fun, but a big majority of people are dating because they want to find their person. They're dating for the long haul. No, maybe if you're early 20s or something, you're just having fun, whatever, that's fine. But I mean, honestly, like I never understood the point of dating for fun. Like if you're just dating for fun, like what's the point? I mean, I guess you go out and have good conversation sometimes, whatever, but who knows? The point is most of us are dating because we are looking, and I'm not saying like we need it, but I'm just saying like most of us are dating because we're like, okay, this is going to be a good time. I can get out of the house. I'm going to socialize. I'm going to see what's up. I'm going to, talk to this person. I'm just going to have a nice dinner, you know? And I think that sometimes you can tell pretty early on, like whether you want to continue pursuing this, and that is fine. So I hope I'm not confusing you here, but let's say you go on this date. You meet the guy, you think, okay, like there's some potential here. I would like to get to know him. And this can go for any age group. Okay. So these are things you guys need to start writing down. I want you to write this down, what I'm saying, because there are things that you need to start asking your potential partner, especially if you're dating for long term. Now, again, if you're just dating for fun, to each their own, whatever, you don't need to go into all of this. But if you're dating because you would like to find love, then you need to know what you're after. So, first of all, before you even get to the date, you need to know what your do's and don'ts are. You need to know what your must-haves are, what the things that you can't live with. You need to know this type of stuff. And this is really, really hard for those of us who have suffered with like anxious attachment issues, for those of us who don't love ourselves or haven't loved ourselves in the past. It's really hard because we are somebody who gets stuck in these patterns of just people pleasing and just like having interests that our potential partner is interested in. So I really encourage you to start thinking about the kind of things that you want and what you must have in a relationship, like the kind of person that you're looking for. And so some of these questions are going to be different depending on your age group. If you are, young and you don't have kids yet, and you're looking to to find a partner and get married and have kids one day, those questions are going to be different than if you're someone in your 40s. But I do think it's important to go deep. So some of the questions that I suggest you ask. So first of all, I do suggest you ask like about spirituality. So do you believe in God? What is God to you? What does God mean to you? Talk about spirituality, find out where they are, because you don't want to get 6 months down the road and find out that you're a believer of God and they're an atheist, because that's not going to work. And you can't change somebody. Like you're not going to change somebody's views. And why would you want to? You don't want to. So you need to ask about spirituality. And the next one is politics. Some people may disagree with me on this, but I think that you do need to know at least where somebody stands. Now, you can both come to the middle. You don't have to be completely in agreement. But if somebody is complete liberal all the way over here on the left, and somebody else is such a stout conservative over here on the right, like you two are never going to be able to communicate on that level and come together. So you want to be able to at least have people who are maybe more in the middle or at least lean each side like together, right? That's another thing you need to talk about. You need to ask about past relationships. You need to find out like what kind of relationships they had. You know, listen to how they talk about their exes. Did their exes all cheat on them? Did their exes go crazy on them? Were they stalkers? How do they talk about them? Because this can be a red flag, how they talk about their exes. If you meet somebody and they talk about, oh, all their ex-wife did was cheat on them, and they don't talk about any of like the things that they might have did, then it's a red flag that they're probably not that great of a guy. Because even if their ex-wife cheated on them, you know, somebody who's like very securely attached and who like has done the work and the healing and all the things will at least be able to look at that, and they might say like, yeah, my ex-wife cheated on me and it was really hurtful, and it was, and they might open up about that. But they're also going to be able to say like, it takes two, and she, did these things to me, but I probably wasn't there as a boyfriend or as a husband the way I needed to be there for her. And that led her to cheat on me. Like they're going to be able to take some responsibility, because I'm sorry, like not that I condone cheating. I don't, I'm not that person. But usually if somebody cheats, oftentimes I'm talking about like long-term relationships here, like marriage and stuff. A lot of times it is because there's usually a reason. Not always, but sometimes there is. So you just need to pay attention to how they talk about their past relationships and what happened in them. Are they somebody who dates somebody every 6 months and they're just constantly relationship hopping? Or are they somebody who's had some long-term relationships? Or maybe they've struggled with relationships. And if they have struggled with relationships, are they willing to talk about why? For me, like I've had lots of like I would probably be a red flag for somebody at first, because I would have to be like, oh yeah, I've struggled with lots of short-term relationships, and I tend to, get cheated on or get left or whatever. But I'm also somebody who's done a lot of healing work and internal shadow work. So I would be able to explain, like, yeah, I sucked. Like I was constantly chasing guys away. I suffered from anxious attachment, and I would tell somebody that. Like, I'm going to tell somebody that if they ask me these questions, I'm going to be honest and say, like, yeah, I did struggle and this is why. And I'm not going to blame somebody else. I'm going to take full responsibility for why there was a lot of struggles. Now, obviously, they had their own shit too, so it's not all my fault, but like a lot of it is. And I'm going to own up to that. So, asking about past relationships can be key in a lot of things. Ask about family, ask about their family, ask about their childhood, ask about what kind of a child were you growing up? What kind of family did you have? Did you have siblings? I mean, these are also obviously common questions that many of us ask, but these are very important questions. Ask about what their goals and their dreams are. Ask about their 5-year plan. Ask, do you plan to have kids? If you're young and you don't have kids yet, do you want to have kids? See, this is a huge one. If they don't want to have kids and you do, it's not going to work out. Like you're not going to change each other's mind, right? You don't want the same things. Ask it, when you have kids, like, do you, first of all, do you drink? Do you smoke weed? If you have kids, are you going to smoke weed or drink around the kids? How often do you do these things? How often do you smoke weed? How often do you drink? There's no right or wrong answer here. It's just you need to know these things. How are you going to raise your kids? Do you believe in spanking? Do you believe in timeouts? Like, what do you believe in? If they don't have kids, or maybe they have kids, but sorry, if you're older and you guys aren't having any more kids, but you're like in your 40s dating, ask what their parenting style is. If you still have young children, if you don't, it might not matter as much. But ask about these questions. Ask about the smoking the weed. Ask about the drinking. Again, no wrong answer here. And some people don't care either way. Like I don't really smoke weed myself, but I have no problem doing like someone else doing it. I've been there, I've done it. It's not my thing. But I like to drink my wine. So like anybody I would get with has to be okay with like me drinking wine at night. I would be fine with somebody smoking weed, even though it's not my thing. Like I'm fine with that though. So these are questions you have to ask. You have to ask about, again, what is your 5-year plan? What are your goals and your dreams? Are you just somebody who goes to work 9 to 5 and comes home and just sits on the couch, watches TV and doesn't do anything, doesn't have any other goals in their life? That might not be okay with you. If you're somebody who is ready to conquer the world and who has all of these big plans for themselves and all of these things, then that person who just works 9 to 5 and comes home and sits on the couch and doesn't want to do anything else might not be your person. So again, and this is the thing. I don't think these things need to wait to ask these questions. Like you can have a checklist, you can have questions that you're ready to ask somebody literally on the first date. If not the first date, by the second. You should not be wasting your time with somebody who might not even have the same values or interests as you, even if it's just dating for fun. You should not be wasting your time with somebody who doesn't share the things that you are interested in. Find out. And that's another thing. Find out what they're interested in and what they like to do for fun. Now, this is like a little bit more like it doesn't necessarily have to be like you don't have to have all the same like fun interest or whatever, but that is just something else to throw out there. And you can do this in a game format. Okay. I did this with an ex one time. We were very short-lived, but it was his idea, not mine. So I'm using his idea. But he was like, let's play 100 questions. And we basically just interview styled, asking each other different questions. And that's a great way to kind of break the ice and start asking questions is to bring up, hey, let's play 100 questions. And so basically, I'll ask you a question, then you ask me a question. And this is the way to bring up these questions because honestly, again, you don't want to waste your time and wait until you're a couple months into this relationship and then find out that you have nothing in common. A lot of these questions that I just threw out at you or things I told you you need to talk about, a lot of these things they are it's really that's what matters. The spirituality matters. What is your faith? What are your beliefs? That matters a lot. Politics, whether we like it or not, the way that you believe, that's a way that you believe, it is going to matter. Like, even though it sucks, it shouldn't matter, but it is going to matter. Do you believe in celebrating holidays? That's going to matter. Do you believe in, going out and partying every night, or do you prefer to stay in and maybe go out once a month? Like, that's going to matter. The way they were in their past, like, those things are going to matter. Their past relationships, the reason that's going to matter is because that's going to give you insight into what kind of a person they are. So, Whew, sorry, on a tangent here. But these are just things. I think if somebody would have told me this 20 years ago, I would be like kissing them right now. Like, oh my gosh, thank you for saving me all this heartache. But I didn't. I went through all of the heartache so that I can now come out here and teach you guys these tricks because these aren't questions that I asked. And it's probably because I didn't know. I didn't know what my goals were. I didn't know what my beliefs were. I didn't know what I like to do for fun. A lot of my life was spent just doing what they wanted to do, just people pleasing. Just, oh, you like this type of, thing to do for fun, and oh, I like that too, or whatever, I'll try it. Like I've always been somebody who like will try anything once. But then it's like, even if I didn't like it, I would never admit that because I was so afraid that if I didn't like something that they were into, or if I had my own interests or beliefs, that they wouldn't like me. And so I know that a lot of you out there can probably relate to this. So if you're in the dating atmosphere, if you're in the dating world, I just want you to like save this podcast, download this podcast, come back and listen to it, take some notes because I do believe that finding this stuff out at the beginning within those first few dates is literally instrumental in seeing like finding your person, finding somebody that you like, even if it doesn't end up being your person, that's fine. But at least finding somebody who, you might meet a cool friend, maybe you become friends, whatever. But you need to know what kind of a person they are. And you need to know what their interests are, what their beliefs are, what their goals are, how they were raised, because how they were raised is going to also give you a lot of insight. Now, not saying that like people can't change. They might have been raised with a lot of trauma, but if they tell you they've done a lot of healing and they see a therapist and they've done all the shadow work and all these things, then like you're probably okay. But you have to know these things. You have to know, and if they don't want to answer, if they shy away from the questions, if they, especially if they shy away from talking about like their childhood, if they shy away from a lot of this stuff, then again, that is another like sign. That's another sign that they might not be, if you, this is things that you want to know and they're shying away from it, then they might not be the type of person that you want to invest any more time into. Because the only thing that we can't get back is time. Everything else is replenishable, but your time is not. And do you really want to waste your time with a bunch of people who aren't even like on the same path as you or on the same wavelength as you? Because I really don't think you do. So you need to find out sooner rather than later. Because I'm telling you, this will save you so, so much heartache in the end. So follow me on Facebook for more. Just if you want to connect with me, I guess. I haven't really been posting there a lot lately. Um, but of course, you can share this episode with a friend if you think somebody needs to hear it. You can, go over on YouTube or Apple or anywhere podcasts are listened to and find this. And I just enjoy having conversations with you guys every week. And it just brings me a lot of joy. So I hope that this helps you. Anybody out there listening, I hope this resonates. And like I said, share it with a friend, download it, leave me a review because that actually really helps the algorithm and it will help more people find this podcast. So until next time, I love you guys so much and I hope you have a beautiful week. Mwah.